everyone, it's Jack from Cultaholic.com back again, and you certainly know what time of the week it is. It's time to talk about AEW Dynamite. It's the show before the big one. It's the go-home show before winter is coming. I know it's not a pay-per-view, but this is the go-home show effectively. But how good was Dynamite? There's only one way to find out, and that is by assigning each individual segment a lovely individual grade. That's right, it's time for AEW Dynamite Graded. Let's go, I'm hyped up today. And there's a reason I'm hyped up, and that's because John Silver is kicking off the show, taking on Hangman Adam Page. And in a little pre-match promo, Silver and a few other Dark Order members reveal that they have personally requested this match, and they've done so because they like Hangman. Oh, suspicious. And at the start of the match, Silver's trying to be all complimentary. He's like, hey, show off your muscles, Hangman. Oh, little booty spank there as well. He's trying to be all pally with Hangman, and he just eats a big right hand to the face in return. It turns into quite a physical contest, to be honest. There's a lot of big chops, both guys' chests are red. Because it's a physical contest, Hangman kind of gets the better of it. He's a bit more of a brawler, isn't he? And he sets up Silver for the buckshot lariat. I think this is going to be the end of the match. No. This just happened to be the moment that the match kicked up into a higher gear. So Silver reverses the buckshot with a nice Hurricane Rana, and then a few little kicks here and there, and Silver's kind of building up ahead of steam. He nails a brainbuster for a near fall, but then Hangman turns the tables, huge lariat, not a buckshot one, just a regular lariat, big sit-out powerbomb. Silver kicks out of that, kicks out of two big moves, but he can't survive the buckshot lariat, which does connect. The rest of the Dark Order get in the ring, minus Brody Lee, of course, who isn't around yet still. Evil Uno gets on the mic and says, basically, look, Hangman, we know that we've had our run-ins in the past, we regret them, but we know that you've also got some regrets of your own. Uno brings up his time in the Elite and says no matter how many times you tried to leave this group, they wouldn't let you leave. And if that's not a cult, I don't know what is. The joke is that the Dark Order actually literally are a cult, and the Elite are just a cult. According to some. From my point of view, the Jedi are evil. It's that sort of thing. But the Elite are definitely a cult, though. Uno closes this promo by saying, you know what, Hangman? We're here for you. And if you need us, you know where to find us. Oh, intriguing scenes. This gets an A- grade from me. A very entertaining, fast-paced, hard-hitting opener and interesting developments after the match as well. Could this be the start of Hangman's decline before his eventual rise? Next up, my boy Alex Marvez is backstage with Kenny Omega, and it's time that Omega gets a serious, hard-hitting grilling from a respected interview. I love Marvez, he's really turned a corner for me. Omega jams a lot of themes into this, seeing Moxley's face on magazines everywhere proclaiming him to be the best wrestler in the world, a position that Kenny once occupied, but now that Kenny's won the tournament, he's seeing his face crop up again, his own face, and he says that basically the common thread that binds them is the thing that Moxley has and Omega doesn't. And once Omega takes the title from Moxley, he will once again be the best in the world. Kenny also says, you know what, Moxley, we had a match a year ago and you beat me, but that wasn't a real wrestling match, that wasn't a singles match, you can't out-wrestle me. So I want to challenge you to do that. Be a man, beat me in the middle of the ring, fair and square. No weapons, no garbage wrestling, none of that. Just a proper one-on-one match. If after all of this, Omega then cheats and hits Moxley with a little weapon shot behind the referee's back, I'm going to lose my mind, Kenny. And then Omega ends it by saying, oh, by the way, that story you told about your dad last week, he doesn't sound that tough, and I think my dad could beat up your dad. I would bet so much money on Moxley's dad in that fight, like so much. Next up, we get Will Hobbs versus Lee Johnson. Sorry, Powerhouse Hobbs versus Lee Johnson, because Hobbs is now a heel, obviously, and a member of Team Taz. This is a squash match. It doesn't last very long. Hobbs is just throwing Lee Johnson about, saying it's just business, and then hurling him into the barricades and the ringside area and into the ropes, and then decking him when he comes back. It's quite a beating by Powerhouse Hobbs, who picks up the win, and then Taz gets in the ring and says, okay, Hobbs, off you go and celebrate. I need some alone time in this ring with a mic. And then rewind that clock. We're going way back to like the year 1999 or whatever, or even just 2011 to be fair, because it's time for a worked shooty shoot promo. And Taz is firing off from the hip, saying, you guys don't care about the FTW Championship. He's got the belt with him, by the way. He's saying, you haven't legitimized this. You don't respect Team Taz. And the mic has been cut, and Tony's in the back, clearly guilty of this. Then He gets another mic, and that one gets cut as well. And I'm thinking he's going to start trashing the ringside area or whatever. Shooting from the hip, bros. But before he can, here comes Cody with a headset on, because you know that it's real if there's a headset involved. Cody says, how about this, Taz, okay? Look, you want respect, you want legitimacy for the belt. How about next week, it's myself and Darby Allin versus Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs. And Taz isn't satisfied, and why would he be? Because that's literally not what he was asking for. That's just totally irrelevant, Cody. Taz still isn't happy, so Cody says, by the way, if the FTW lifestyle is so great, why is your own son training with me instead of you? And Taz is furious, and he pretends to leave in disgust. He turns back, blindsides Cody, Tazmission, and then the guns run in and he's got to bail. And then Taz leaves with his son, who's there out of nowhere. He was just at ringside this whole time, I guess. They leave, and Cody's a bit shook, to be fair. He's a bit startled. This gets a B grade from me. It was interesting, and the promo work from Taz and Cody was good. They're two really, really good promos, as we all know. But I don't know if I enjoyed the work shoot aspect of it, just because everybody interrupts the show all the time. A wrestling show is, by its very nature, chaotic. Things go wrong. People run in. People interfere. People attack each other backstage, whatever. Crazy things happen in wrestling promotions all the time. It's what we expect from pro wrestling. It's what gives the stories life, and it's what glues stories together, and it's what moves stories from stage to stage. Now, if you start picking apart Taz for coming out and cutting a promo when he's not supposed to, I don't know if that really lines up consistently with the rest of the product on the whole. Still, I'm quite enjoying where this is going. It furthers the feud between Cody and Team Taz, and it also introduces the character of Taz's son. The character of Taz's son? That sounds like they're not actually related. The character of Taz's son is played by whoever. No, I'm sure it is Taz's real son, but it gets him onto our screens, you know what I mean. Next up, my boy, Alex Marvez is back again. He's backstage with Eddie Kingston, who talks about how the war with Pac is not over yet. And then he's cut off by Jon Moxley, who just wordlessly walks up to him, and Kingston knows what this is about before Moxley's even said anything. And he's like, come on, Jon, you know it wasn't me who jumped you last week. You know, I've got bigger fish to fry. We've both got stuff on our plate right now. It wasn't me. And Moxley seems to accept this and walks off. But, you know, we'll see that he suspects someone else in a very short while. Next up, we get tag team action between TH2, Angelico, and Jack Evans taking on Top Flight, those promising young rookies, those upstarts from last week. Come on, the young boys. God, what was that? This match is very back and forth. It's a case of TH2 trying to slow down the action, grind down their opponents. And for a team involving Angelico and Jack Evans, that's a really weird thing to say. Oh yeah, the methodical heel, Jack Evans, slowing things down, keeping things grounded. But it's kind of the story of the match. Top Flight come back hard, and that also sounds weird. Top Flight make their comeback with dives and splashes and near falls and agility and all the stuff that they're known for. And it looks like they're about to get, you know, their first big win on Dynamite, but things don't exactly go to plan. Evans yanks one half of Top Flight off the apron, leaving Dante, I believe, alone in the ring with Angelico. Angelico sweeps the leg like it's Cobra Kai and then locks in his submission for the heel victory. Strike first, strike hard, no mercy. The heels do a beatdown until the Young Bucks run out to chase them off, and that's the end of the match. That's the end of the segment. It gets a B grade from me. Decent tag team match. A lot of impressive athleticism, of course, but I don't know if the story running through the match was that strong a thread. Still, I think this is probably going to set up TH2 for a title shot against the Bucks in the future, which should be an enjoyable match. Next up, backstage, we go to Vicky Guerrero and Nyla Rose, and Vicky cuts a promo of which the central theme is nepotism. And if you're going to cut a promo based around one central theme or word or construct, it's probably best to know the meaning of this word first. Because Vicky kind of explains what nepotism is, which is, you know, when people in power use their influence to act favourably towards those who are related to them or friends with them, usually by giving them jobs. That's usually the concept of nepotism. That's usually the example that's given. Vicky talks about, I think she's talking more about influence or something, but it's not really strictly nepotism that she explains. She says basically that, you know, people like the baby faces of the women's division, people like Big Swole, they're really influenced by Brandi Rhodes. Well, she says the nepotism is in play, but I'm like, does that really work? I guess you could say that they were given their position by Brandi, or that's what she's accusing her of doing because she's their friend, but I don't know if that's the case really. Vicky then says Jade Cargill injured Brandi's arm last week, and there was no nepotism involved there. And I'm like, how does this even make Vicky, man? Anyway, Vicky closes this segment by saying, Brandi, if you need business advice, call me. And I'm like, well, I kind of get the point, but I'm really confused at the same time. Next up, more tag team action as Chris Jericho and Jake Hager take on SCU, represented in this match by Daniels and Frankie Kazarian. And as Jericho makes his entrance, is it just me, or I'm getting a little bit sick of all of the shots of everybody ringside loving Judas and just really singing along to it because it bangs. Baby faces are doing it, heels are doing it, the crowd are doing it, everyone, whenever Jericho makes his entrance, no matter how detestable he's meant to be, everyone's like, yeah, but this song's a banger though, you are beautiful. Like, come on. I'm actually waiting at one point for the camera to cut backstage and you just see Tony Khan at the production desk just off his lips. But that hasn't quite happened yet. It's pointed out to us on commentary that Daniels and Jericho, despite all their decades of experience in the ring, have never actually wrestled each other in any type of match. So quite fittingly, they start this one off. It goes back and forth for a bit. There's tags made. Daniels and Kazarian seem to be getting the better of it, particularly Daniels at first. He hits the ropes, and then from the outside, he gets his leg grabbed by Santana, I think it was, one of the Inner Circle members, and then gets thrown to the outside, and then the Inner Circle will do a big ministry-style stomping beatdown while the referee's back is turned. And then a little bit later on, we get the hot tag to Kazarian, and this is where the match kicks off. Kazarian, right, so Ortiz has jumped up on the apron to distract. Kazarian is just like, I'm not having any of this. Bang! Jumps over the top rope onto the rest of the Inner Circle. Kind of messes it up a little bit, but it looks really rough and ready. He gets up and he's just swinging wildly and just fighting all of the Inner Circle. It's a messy brawl, but Kazarian looks really cool in the process, in my opinion anyway. Daniels gets the tag again. He manages to hit the BME on Jake Hager, but Jericho breaks it up. And then from the outside of the ring, MJF with the Dynamite Diamond Ring hits Daniels through the ropes. Daniels rebounds into a Judas Effect back elbow. Hager makes the cover, and the Inner Circle pick up the win. After the match, the Inner Circle all stand tall, and Kazarian just decks MJF for, you know, costing them the match. It's fair enough, but the Inner Circle don't see it that way, and they all beat down the two baby faces until Scorpio Sky runs down, and apparently he is now the Ultimate Warrior because he gets in the ring and all of the Inner Circle members just leave. They're scared of him. Like, he's got a chair, but it's about 7-on-1. A little bit later on in the night, we get a backstage interview with the Inner Circle where MJF's just absolutely fuming that Kazarian punched him after the match. Jericho stands up for MJF, and basically we get Jericho versus Kazarian for next week, I believe. So that's quite an interesting matchup. This gets a B+ grade for me. Yes, there were less flashy moves and less high spots than the previous match between TH2 and Top Flight, but the reason I'm giving this match a higher grade is because I think they put a little bit more of a story into it, and you really felt the action going back and forth. And I just really liked Kazarian here. I thought he was awesome. So I'm giving this one a B+, even though on the surface, I guess it wasn't quite as flashy a match as Top Flight versus TH2. Next up, we get Kip Sabian, Miro, and Penelope Ford in one of those trailers that they sometimes hang out in on Being the Elite and stuff. They're like, welcome to the first ever Kip and Miro video game extravaganza, and I'm like, okay, what's going on here then? And then Orange Cassidy walks in, turns off the console, and starts a brawl. They chase him outside, but the best friends are waiting in ambush, and it all breaks down. The cameraman follows the action. Miro gets right in the camera's face and goes, get out of the way, and then throws the cameraman over. The camera's on the floor, you can't see anything, and the brawl doesn't end. The segment does. Next up, it's time for the contract signing part 2, or take 2, after Moxley was attacked backstage last week and couldn't make it. So we get Kenny Omega's entrance with the dancing girls, the brooms, Kenny's silhouette, and then while he's waiting there, where you can just see a shadow, another shadow appears behind him, a slightly bigger one, and it just beats him down. And I'm like, oh my god, and then the larger silhouette throws Kenny's silhouette, you know, he spills out, and it's revealed that his attacker was, of course, Jon Moxley. This was a really cool visual. Moxley throws Omega in the ring, puts the belt on the canvas, and hits a paradigm shift onto the title belt. And Omega is down and out. Moxley gets on the mic and basically just goes into overdrive, selling the match next week. Basically saying, whoever you paid to bump me off last week, Kenny, you didn't pay them enough because I'm fine now and I'm ready to go. He then just goes into cliche overdrive. He's like, win, lose or draw, I take no prisoners. When you come for the king, you best not miss. Winter is coming. I'm like, whoa, he's just throwing out all the catchphrases you can think of. Moxley signs the contract and leaves, and I'm giving this one an A-. Yes, you know, the promo itself was effectively an advert for the show next week, but Moxley delivered it with such passion and such fire. But the main reason this segment gets an A- is I think that really cool visual at the start with the silhouettes. That is awesome. That's going to be great high package material. yeah, just a very unique and cool moment. Next up, we get a women's title match with the champion Hikaru Shida taking on Anna Jay of the Dark Order with Tay Conti at ringside, who's her best friend, but she's not affiliated with the Dark Order though. But there are some Dark Order members on the ramp, including John Silver, to watch over proceedings. This one goes back and forth, but obviously Hikaru Shida is like stronger and more experienced than Anna Jay. So Jay asks for a chair, and Conti reluctantly gives it to her, but she doesn't really want to. But the referee puts a stop to that. He sees the handoff and goes, well, you can't be using a chair. And while he's dealing with the chair and dealing with Conti on the outside, John Silver scampers down the ramp, hands a kendo stick to Anna Jay, and she goes, bam! And I'm like, oh, we're getting a title change. 1, 2, no. Shida kicks out, but Anna Jay gets the Queen Slayer locked in. But Hikaru Shida manages to reverse it and gets to her feet. Falcon Arrow reversed. Anna Jay falls on top of her. 1, 2. Such a good near fall. I thought we were getting a title change, but Shida just manages to kick out. Not long after that, Shida hits the running knee. 1, 2, 3. And retains the title. Anna Jay is taken off by the Dark Order. Shida celebrates on the stage. And then Abaddon's music hits. Remember Abaddon? She comes out crawling along, dripping blood all over it's just horrific in the best possible way. Shida falls backwards, she's terrified. Turns out Shida's really scared of Abaddon. Maybe we're getting kind of a Booker T, Boogeyman situation here. I'd like to see it. Shida's all terrified. Abaddon gets the belt and licks it, and it's like, ugh, but effective at the same time. And I thought, generally, that was quite cool. I mean, it's a bit cartoonish, but it's Abaddon. And I think there's nothing really like her on the show, so I'm fine with that. I'm going to give this match and the post segment as well a B+. Anna Jay, I think, has improved very rapidly in a short space of time. That was evident here. The match was a little bit too short. I maybe would have liked to have seen it go a little bit longer, but for what it was, I was very entertained, and I'm excited to see what kind of development we get between Abaddon and Shida, what kind of dynamic will head into a match between the pair of them. Next up, we get a little short backstage interview with Matt Hardy, who says he's the most innovative and creative wrestler in wrestling history, and he says that if he can survive 2020, then so can we. And he says, you know, if you feel like you're about to quit at any moment, then just survive, thrive, and win. And that's it. I'm like, oh, cheers, Matt, for the little message, but thank you. Main event time now, though, and it's the Butcher and the Blade with Eddie Kingston on guest commentary, repping them. I'm so uncool. Repping them, repping his boys from the West Side. Like, why do I even try and be cool? Taking on Pac and Fenix, accompanied by Pentagon. I call them Team Penix. This match gets off to a very fast start with Team Penix just absolutely running wild. Can I possibly get away with calling them that? But the Butcher and the Blade are fighting back, and at one stage, all 4 men are down in the middle of the ring. This is also, well, the match has only been going for a few minutes, but it's shaping up nicely, shall we say. It develops into a very back and forth match, fast paced, a lot of stuff going on. Pac misses the shooting star press at one point because Blade rolls out of the way because Pac just took too long on the top rope. He was there for ages. He does wait quite a long time, to be fair. The Butcher and the Blade run through some nice double team offense, but the babyfaces fight back. Can we really call Pac a babyface? I guess he is right now. It looks like they're about to win, Team Penix. Pac heads up top, but then Eddie Kingston comes down from commentary, knocks his legs out from underneath him, and the bunny has the referee distracted. With the momentum turned in their favour, the Butcher and the Blade hit the Butcher and the Blade bomb, that's what it's called, don't fact check that for a second, and pick up the victory. And then, of course, actually we've got maybe too many of these on Dynamite this week. We get a heel beat down after the match. Kingston runs down from commentary once again and sets up a steel chair and then DDTs Pac on it and then does it again. And who's going to stop him? Who's going to save the day? Lance Archer. That's right, Archer barrels down to the ring. Jake's with him. He gets in there. He's just throwing people out left, right and centre. Archer sends all the heels running. And that's how the show ends. The way that every Dynamite should end. With everybody dies and it's now or never. Still sounds so much like Bon Jovi. This gets a B+ grade. It was a good, intense match to close the show. Nothing spectacular or anything, but still an enjoyable match. And it was good to see Archer back too. I'm going to need to remind myself of his motivation for not liking Kingston. Is it because of the title match that he had with Moxley where he didn't win? Was Kingston involved? Please let me know in the comment section down below. But, you know, on the whole, I enjoyed this segment. But what did I think of the show on the whole? Well, for my overall grade this week, I'm going to give the kind of go-home show to Winter Is Coming a B+ grade. I thought it wasn't the best show that Dynamite have done recently, but it was still a fairly strong one. Nothing blow away, no major occurrences, but we had a good match to start the show, a good match to finish the show. We had the contract signing angle, which was good too, and we had the curious angle of Taz and Cody, and I'll see, I guess, in future where that goes, and I think more appropriately make my mind up then. But on the whole, I think it was a decent show, but the big one is certainly next week. So B+ is the grade, and with that was AEW Dynamite graded for this week. Thank you very much for watching. Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Stay safe out there, stay positive, and I'll see you very soon.